Hello, darlings. Welcome to this embodied tarot reading. Coming to you on a chilly fall morning here in Denver, and just so excited to share with you whatever the guides want to share with you today. As a reminder, and if you're listening to this for the first time, these collective readings are really a space for the guides to come through with whatever messages that they might have for whoever ends up listening to this. And this is one part that I just love about this, is that like they know so much better than I do who is going to hit play here. And so whatever comes through here right now is, if you're listening, for you, at least some piece of it. So sending love to wherever you are in the world, in your life right now, and just knowing that this is, really a space to settle in for a few moments. So I'm going to pull some cards, and then based on the cards that we're pulling, offer some either embodied practices or energy healing work, or both. And we will roll with it as spirit guides. So wherever you are right now, I'd love to invite you to ground down into your feet or your hips. If you're making contact, wherever you're making contact with the ground or a support underneath you, unless, of course, you're levitating, in which case maybe come down to earth for just a moment. Okay, and feeling into whatever support there is under your body and taking a few deep breaths, filling up all the way to the base of that support. And releasing just as intentionally. Maybe a part of your body that was clinging can uncling in this moment. If it feels good to let an exhale come out your mouth, allow that to happen. Really letting your body show up fully to this experience of receiving this message today. Really inviting yourself, all the parts of you, into presence here right now. Acknowledging anything that your brain is doing in this moment. Acknowledging if your body has sensation that's here that you want to be present to. Just acknowledging any emotion, any sense of connection. Let it all be here, exactly as it is. So I'm getting pulled to use our Lightseers Tarot deck today. And we're going to start with this card, apparently, because it's popping out. And okay, so the Six of Swords comes through here, and I want to just acknowledge, looking at this card and this deck, the swords are not happy, joyful cards. However, in this sort of tarot reading, right, we always want to look for the ways in which there is medicine here for us, not necessarily it's not about like reporting something that's happening to us. It's about inviting us to get clear on it. And what it is specifically inviting us to get clear on right now is who is steering the boat. Now, this is a really important thing, I think, to acknowledge just where we are at culturally right now. In the United States, we are voting and making our voices heard, and we have this shift happening from summer into fall. In some parts of the US and many parts of the US, we're seeing spikes in COVID cases. And so this is such a huge moment to really ask ourselves, like, am I really steering my own ship with the intentionality that I want to be, given everything that's happening in the world right now? And just a really gentle invitation to look at perhaps ways that we are giving up power that, because there are some places and sometimes, right, where we don't have control, and oftentimes, though, We get stuck in a loop of thinking we don't have control over any part of the situation, when in reality, there's some piece of it that we can be in a little bit more of um, direct action around. And that may be just doing our own inner work around what's showing up for us. And that may be taking an action that feels completely out of our comfort zone because it's what's available to us right now. And it may also just be a sense of like, oh, shoot, if I were to really step into that, if I were to really own my power in that, what would change? What would transform? So, yeah, this curiosity right now, and always coming back to like, okay, can we just soften into the curiosity of like, am I letting other people or other situations or systems govern my life more than they are due? Yeah. And if we are, that is what's happening. Can we witness that with gentleness and say, okay, I see this happening here. Where might there be room to start changing this up? Okay, we have Five of Wands coming out too. This is not an either or situation. This is not a I'm either steering the ship or somebody else is steering the ship. This is a both and situation. Can we find the space for collaboration amidst tending to our own inner wisdom and our own power, And this can feel really, gosh, there can be a lot of fire in this, right? This sense of like, well, I'm right or you're right, or and that's just the way that it has to be. And I just want to acknowledge like there are certainly situations in which we want to just choose to say no to collaboration or contact with people that have differing life views than we do, especially if they are harmful ones and ones that are really sapping to our energy to be around. That's not what this Five of Wands is pointing at. The Five of Wands is pointing at those moments when we are in connection with people, and perhaps even a moment where we're asking for someone's opinion, or we're getting feedback, or we're wanting to go a little bit deeper into relationship with somebody, and we have this moment where it kind of butts heads. Okay. Can we let both things, both sides, can we actually, that's what it is. Can we get rid of the sense of sides? Can we let spirit guide it? And that's really an interesting point going back to the Six of Swords too, because sometimes our ego can get up there and be like, well, I want to steer the ship. And I know what's right for us because I am a human brain with massive computing capacities. When in reality, what we really want to be steering the ship is spirit. What we really want to be steering the ship is our soul, We don't want we don't always want the high-powered analytical prefrontal cortex to be steering the ship because that's the part of us that wants to get really rational about things. We also sometimes don't want our body to be fully steering the ship, especially if we're in a situation where there's illness or chronic pain and that kind of thing. Like sometimes we have to let the soul step out in front of all of them, hold all of them, say, sweetie brain, like I see you wanting to make sense out of this and maybe it's not going to right now. And body, yes, there's pain, yes, there's insecurity, yes, to all of that. And how can we move forward anyway? So again, both of these cards are kind of pointing us towards a bit of a middle path here right now, where we are allowing all of it, all of ourselves, right? Just like we're letting all of ourselves show up here, we're letting all of ourselves be witnessed, and then asking the soul, the true self, the highest self, however you think of it, to step forward and to really help us make decisions on what's coming up. Oh, interesting. Okay. And then we have the Page of Cups here. And I love this card coming up right now because I was just catching in my language there, like a really hyper focus around decision making and action taking. And then this card shows up and is like, oh, hey, actually, could we soften all of that? Could we dream a bit? Could we dream about the possibilities that we're sailing towards? Can we dream a bit about the collaborative potential, about the community building that perhaps is a little bit deeper than what we've experienced in the past? Can we actually let go of a need to understand and to know and to make a decision right now, and rather just flow with it and see what happens and wait for those moments where it's a solid, solid yes before we actually step into what's next? And in the meantime, play. Let it be strange. Let our dreams come forward in new ways. Let ourselves not need to be grounded all of the time, right? Like, would it be like to just float off for a bit, to just dream? Sometimes that gets a little bit of a bad rap of like, oh, well, if I'm not grounded, and this isn't like an always thing, right? This is saying, like, can we have a container in which we give a little time and space to just see where spirit takes us, whether that's taking a walk without a destination, or really letting our minds wander and staring off into space and being unproductive, God forbid, for a few moments, letting ourselves be really outside of the paradigm for a minute. And be like, yeah, there's all of this really important stuff happening. And maybe you have really important work in the world. And maybe this feels like a big time in your own family or your own community. And there are things that need to get done. And even if it's just for a moment to breathe and be like, what if? What if this magic? What if that magic? And let it unfurl and perhaps enliven you in a different way. One more card. Knight of Cups. Along with that, leaning towards sensation. So if we're having a hard time discerning what moment it is, in terms of like who's steering the ship, and is it time to act, or is it time to play? Is it time to dream, or is it time to decide? Move towards sensation, and let there be sensation without needing to like kind of apply the labels to it. What if the body could just guide? What if the body could just let you know one moment to the next what's here now, within the parameters that we have? Because sometimes we have to get up and go to work, even if our body is like, no, I'd rather stay in bed. Yeah, both of the Page of Cups and the Knight of Cups are really inviting us to like make a little bit of space for exploration, and acknowledging actually that right now that space for exploration is playing a really big role in how we are moving forward. With the combination of all of these, I'm feeling the presence of the Temperance card as well, like that sense of like kind of allowing ourselves to step out of what we think is supposed to happen and into both what is actually here right now in our sensations and the potential of what could be if we let our brains kind of disconnect a little bit from the rational and linear world that our bodies and our minds mostly inhabit. So taking all of this together, I want to do a little breath of fire. So this is a breathing technique. If you are brand new to it, I'm going to be super gentle and maybe only do a few rounds. But whether you're brand new to it or you've done it many, many times, I want to really honor and offer that you can listen to my cueing, you can go at my pacing, you can go for as long as I do, and you can also have a moment in your body where like, and that's enough, or let's slow it down, or shoot, let's speed it up, So the way that it works here, it's going to get a little bit toasty, so I'm going to get out of this, is we are going to be taking breaths into our low belly, into our bellies here, and pumping with a sharp exhale out the nose, like a. So if you watch my finger again here, Exhale is coming out sharply, and my finger just goes up and in. Now, when we push that hard out, the inhale is actually going to be an automatic thing. So we don't have to think like, okay, now inhale and then exhale, because you're creating a bit of a vacuum situation in there so that when you relax your abdominal muscles, air is naturally going to be drawn in. Okay. So that's how we can create a little bit of a rhythm. Now, just so you know what we're working with energetically here, we're working with one of the locks in our bodies that is in between the sacral chakra and the solar plexus chakra here. And this lock, or granti in yogic terms, is a space where we tend to hold on and hold on to stories and blockages that keep us from being able to move some of the more earthly, grounded energies up into our heart so that we can move it into a world in ways that are really in alignment. So that's one thing that we're working with, is that block there. Another thing that we're working with is this solar plexus center, which is our like willpower center. So getting balanced in when we take action and when we do not take action. And then the final piece is that because we have this upward movement, we're actually carrying all of this up into the crown of our heads as well. And so it's a really beautiful activation and opening there. Again, so that we can really integrate full body with this breath. So it's enough talking about it. Let's try it. So if it feels good to you to have a hand on your belly so you can kind of feel this, I'll invite you to do that. If you are sitting in a chair, feet are flat on the ground. If you are sitting on the floor, just finding a long spine and maybe a blanket underneath your hips if it feels like your low back is kind of rounding forward and down. You want to be able to tilt the pelvis slightly forward and lengthen the spine up and out of that. Okay. Relax your shoulders. And to start, we're just going to take a few slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose. Filling all the way up from belly to collarbones. One more like that. And then on this next inhale, you're going to fill up just about 3/4 of the way, not all the way full. And then begin. Keep it going. Again, finding a rhythm that works in your body. Can be at that rhythm or something different. If it feels funny and awkward, let it feel funny and awkward. Let's keep going for a few more rounds. Last 3, last 2, last 1, and then inhale, big breath in, hold at the top, pause, and let it go. And now just let yourself sit here for a few moments. I'm going to activate some Reiki energy to flow towards you, finding you in whatever time and space that you are watching this in. Feel free to lay down for a few moments here if that helps you to feel more receptive, or to turn your palms face up if they are in your lap. Sensing into the changes in your energetic body and your nervous system. Sensing into how you are now in this moment, all of you. Perhaps there's some processing happening around the cards that came up, or what's happening in your body. Let that flow gently, not trying to get anywhere fast. Breathing and allowing and receiving this energy that's flowing around your body, and as your body and your nervous system welcome it into the energy body, finding the places where your energy needs support, bolstering them, infusing every corner, every nook and cranny of your being with light. And honing in slightly at the crown of the head, You can imagine, envision this beautiful many-petaled lotus opening on the crown of your head, and in the very center of that flower is a portal through which we connect with divine energies. And right now, inviting that space to open, to find balance, to receive exactly what we are meant to receive in this moment. And on the other end of that spectrum, we have our feet firmly rooted in the ground, connected to the earth, allowing us to sit tall, allowing us to receive, to drink in all that is here for us in this moment. Notice where your awareness is currently being drawn to in your body. And take a few moments here to open to any messages that this part of your body may have for you. Trusting that anything that shows up here and now is exactly what is supposed to. Trusting your own inner wisdom. If you have the time and the space, I'll invite you to stay and sit with your body, your energy for a little bit longer, or perhaps honor any movement that your body is inspiring now. Until next time, be well, my dears.